Welcome to episode 47, I think, of Cinema Curse. Tonight, the road to the Oscars continues with Men in Musicals. Representing musicals, smash hit Wicked, and critical darling Emilia Pérez. And representing men, we've got Luca Guadagnino's Queer, Ridley Scott's Gladiator II, which we call G2 around these parts, and the yet to actually be released, but everyone here has seen it because we live in LA, The Brutalist. I am your Wicked Game Master, Connor Lloyd Crews. I started doing this manifesting bit 2 episodes ago, right after the election, and I was manifesting better aim. And you know what? I'm gonna continue to manifest better aim today. Today joining.
Not to get too specific, but I think aim has been pretty good lately.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. That's Scott Heaton.
Your manifesting worked.
Hi, everyone.
And Casey Young.
Thank you. Hi.
And joining for the first time, Daisygreen Stenhouse.
Hello, hello.
My friend from AFI, and also essentially coincidentally, married to Jay, who was here
married
last
to Jay.
week.
Yeah.
It's actually like a coincidence that y'all have been on one last week and one this week. It's a big part of it. I was just looking at Letterboxd and I was like, you know what? Daisygreen's like seen all these movies.
Seen all the movies and ran into you at the Brutalist. Yeah.
I want to thank you. I want to say thank you to Marina Sakamoto and her band Shunkin for the use of their song "Curse" off the EP She Nods for our opening. It's been 398 days since the strike ended, and the AMPTP still sucks. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Doing good.
Solid.
Wonderful. In the weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas, just getting some Christmas presents, mostly for me.
Yeah.
But the family is getting some stuff too, so that's good.
Yeah, I saw that Cyclops figurine looks fucking cool that you got.
We'll probably be talking about that during a certain someone's corner.
Okay. Well, let's start.
I just have to take a photo of. I built a new cat tree.
Yeah.
And the cats were not using it. Now each one of them is in one of the baskets. So
oh my gosh.
It has to be documented.
Hell yeah.
This is a huge moment for our household.
You need to send me this photo, honestly.
I shall.
I am going to change my background as I usually do when we switch topics. I have a lot of but for my backgrounds this week, I have a lot of stills and promotional images from the movies, and so here's one from Emilia Pérez. I'm not gonna explain that for people just listening. Hell yeah, I got this picture. I don't know where I'll see if I can try to get it up on stream. These are cute cats. Daisygreen, can you give a brief summary of Emilia Pérez? Oh, I forgot to establish this before the pot. It's like not more than a log line, but not like a full breakdown.
Full,
you know what I mean?
full breakdown. Okay, so
yeah.
There's Emilia Pérez is about a lawyer played by Zoe Saldana, who gets hired by a cartel leader.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes, correct.
To
Did you do the reading?
I saw it. To
There was
undergo,
an old man, and he was at the sea.
yeah. To undergo like a full, I don't know what, the whole bevy of surgeries related to changing sex and gender from male to female and become completely unrecognizable as from his former life to become the woman that he or she had always been. And then they reconnect later, and she, Emilia Pérez, now former cartel boss, tries to do some good to make up for the bad, and they sing.
And it's a musical. And Selena Gomez is there also. She's
yes, Selena Gomez is the wife of
the drug lord.
Of the drug lord.
Who doesn't know that Emilia Pérez, she thinks Emilia Pérez
used to be the drug lord. Yeah.
Yeah, she thinks Emilia Pérez is like the drug lord's sister or cousin.
Yeah,
or
like it's an aunt. It's some sort of aunt.
Yeah, this is just me and Daisy. What do you think
Great.
what do you think about this one, Daisygreen?
Can I just say I haven't seen this movie, and I didn't really know what it's about. And this description has blown my mind.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a pretty wild mashup of like, you know, a cartel story, a musical, and like a trans identity story.
Yes, very much so. And like there's a lot of sort of like questions of sort of like the continuity of self, you know, between like when she was previously this cartel boss and all these horrible things that he did, and then the kind of like, if you've changed your identity completely, like, are you still the person that you once were? Like, and was she only kind of acting that way and embodying the life that she lived then because of her circumstances, and that was like how you survived, was to become the scariest person. I was all over the place on this movie.
Yeah, I think so too. I liked it overall, but
I did like it overall. I didn't love it. There were some of the musical sequences that I loved. There's there's an opening musical sequence where Zoe Saldana's like kind of walking through like a busy street market that I thought was like a great opening number. And then there's a later musical number during like a
conference
banquet.
Yeah, the banquet or whatever. Yeah, that's a really good one.
That I also thought was
we the last road to the Oscars, sort of we you know, around early November through like February, we last year we did a couple. This year we're doing a couple of like episodes that are just a bunch of movies that are going to be like awards conversation movies. And last one we talked about Joker too. And man, to whatever you want to say about Emilia Pérez or Wicked as musicals, fucking way better as musicals.
Yeah, I skipped that one. I skipped Joker. I will say, I mean, this will become more relevant talking about Wicked, but like there were some of the ways that the musical sequences were shot in Emilia Pérez that I thought were so like wonderfully strange and captured a lot of that kind of like, I'm a really huge fan of a lot of the really just old Hollywood musicals where it is like they're shot to reflect how weird it is that everyone's singing. And I felt like Wicked didn't do that for me at times, where I really appreciated like how the sort of the strangeness of like leaning into the strangeness of Emilia Pérez and kind of also letting the songs in a way dictate how certain sequences were shot. I thought was really cool. Was not a huge fan of the music itself. Like no real earworms. Yeah. Couldn't tell you a single song.
I remember some of the more like there's like a couple moments that are like the more percussive where like Zoe Saldana is like gah, 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 or something like that, like doing shit like that, and that's the only shit I remember in terms of music.
Yeah. No, and I was blown away by her performance, especially.
Yeah, very good performances, I would say. Yeah.
Yes, very good performances across the board. Some of the best that I've seen Selena Gomez be.
I don't know if it's 3. I feel like in a weird way it's like 3 parts. Maybe if it was like an hour longer or something. I feel like all 3 of its parts, the musical, the cartel thing, and the trans thing, all kind of get a little bit of like short shrift, and I wish all of them had like a little more to flush out in a way, you know?
I kind of agree with you. I wasn't sitting there thinking to myself, I hope this is longer.
Yeah.
But
you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
How to fix that exactly.
Yeah, like where it has a little bit of that, like it suffered for me a little bit from the thing of like whose story, like who do I really care about? Because Zoe Saldana's character is like our way in, but then Emilia Perez's character actually has the far more interesting like arc in the movie, and we actually kind of were really far away from her for a while. And
she doesn't really even enter into the picture in a way until like, you know, a third of the way through the movie, essentially.
Totally. So I kind of like, I suffered a little bit from that thing of like, who do I care? Like a little bit that kind of that movie problem where it feels like you're watching through the eyes of the narrator instead of with the protagonist. And speaking of like watching things on big screens, which we were talking about before we started, but like I have no idea what the experience of watching this like at home on Netflix is. I feel like it must be very strange because I saw it at the Egyptian.
I saw it down at the 3, which is a pretty small theater, but still it's the theater.
I think if I had been like at home, I may have turned it off. It's like, just because if you're on Netflix, you're scrolling through Netflix, you click on this movie that you've heard nothing about, and then it's like one of the strangest things you've ever seen. I'd be like, no, take me to the Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie. Thanks.
Hot Frosty is just a click away.
Yeah, exactly. I
mean, that's
not that terrible film, but
that's the Netflix problem, you know, is just that they just like dump these movies, you know, like I'm still like Rebel Ridge from earlier this year, like that would have I feel like that would have fucking been like so fucking fun to see in like a packed theater full of people.
The movie, speaking of Netflix, the movie I think like just would have been huge was the Beverly Hills Cop reboot. Probably. Just the fact that Top Gun made as much money as it did and Bad Boys 4 made as much money as it did suggests that
and I heard it was good too.
Yeah, it's like I can't imagine it not making money, and I would imagine it would actually probably have made a lot.
Yeah.
So I totally know what you mean.
It also just that thing I think of like when you know you have the option 10 minutes in to like, it takes so much more for me to walk out of a movie than it does to just like flip to a different movie. And like one of the examples for me was like Hitman earlier this year or when was that?
It was this year too. Yeah.
This year, like I saw that in theaters, and like the first 10 minutes I was a bit like, what is this movie going to be? And then like once it kicked into the premise of the movie, I was like locked in, where I talked to some people who like had started it on Netflix and they were like, yeah, he's in class, he's talking about this, whatever. It seemed boring. I turned it off, you know? And I was like, that's so sucks. Like just watch the movie.
Yeah. That's also heartbreaking because you bring that up and like, you know who else knows about that? Netflix. And that they dictate, you know, like, so they want the first 10 minutes of your movie it's got to grab them. You know, that's why a lot of movies do the in meta res where like, hey, you're probably wondering how I got here. And like,
I know.
how we got, you know,
to be
but
fair,
that sort of drives me crazy because I find the first 10 minutes of a movie, I'm like, people are eating their popcorn, they're crinkling things, like they're settling into the theater. Like you need like, what was I just saying? Oh, Queer.
Yeah.
which we're going to talk about later, loved the opening title sequence because I was like, great, I'm getting like, it's like a way of like getting you into the like world and vibe of the movie without like having to be paying attention to yet. The Brutalist title sequence too, I thought was wonderful.
Yeah, both of those. I was thinking we did last year for our Oscars special. We gave awards for awards they don't give at the Academy that we think, and one of them is title design. And I think Brutalist and Queer are definitely both going to be nominees. Like,
up there, really, very really high.
Good. I think I also, the one thing with, I don't know, I tried to find how gay this guy who made Emilia Pérez is, and I can't tell exactly. I do think that there's like something to maybe be said about like, you know, it's like this queer story, and it doesn't have the happiest ending in the world, and that's like that's like a trope with those characters. And also, you know, having this trans woman have this backstory as like a horribly violent cartel leader, I think is also like a little strange. I think the movie has its heart in its right place, so it doesn't like totally like nosedive on any of that. But I also like watching it, I was like, this is a little strange. It
is strange. It's based on an opera, right?
Oh, really? I don't know that. That's cool.
I think so. I think it's based off an opera. Could be. A friend of mine said that to me earlier on the phone today. So if I'm wrong, that's his fault. But which then kind of makes sense. Also, to your point of like, it felt like it needed more. Like, I wonder in opera form if it had more. Yeah. It's one of those movies, I will say, that, and this happens to me sometimes. This happened to me when we were in school together. This happened to me really hard with Spotlight, where they screened Spotlight for us. I was like, that was a fine movie. And then it became like the #1 awards contender. And I was like, I have never hated a movie more. I hate Spotlight so much because I was just like, it was fine. Like, why are we talking about it like it's the greatest thing that's ever happened? Like, now I'm mad. Yeah. And I'm not that mad about Emilia Pérez yet, but when the Golden Globe, I think when the nominations came out, though, you know I was like, what are we talking about? We're talking about this is the best movie of the year so far? Like, that's to me. I think the one advantage I'll give Emilia Pérez over Spotlight, which to be fair, I haven't seen, is Emilia Pérez is like a way weirder movie. It is. And so like, it is way weirder. I appreciate its weirdness. It getting a lot of recognition because it's like, hey, you know. Yes. At least it's weird, cool shit. No, I do agree with that. I like how many big swings it takes. And yeah, I left it being like, I liked that. What was that? But cool. Well, I think it's time to move on to our next. Actually, before we do, can I just say one thing? When you guys were talking about like watching Emilia Pérez in theaters as opposed to at home, it reminded me of, I was not here last week, but last week we discussed Mulholland Drive and Inland Empire. And I watched them before thinking I was going to make it. I had to work, but I realized it was the first time I'd ever seen a David Lynch movie at home. Oh, really? I'd only ever watched it in experience. And oh my God, is it just like, quite like, whoo. So like, it's good to know. Like, just now that I will have to watch Emilia Pérez at home. I don't think it's in theaters anymore. Yeah, because it didn't get very much of a run to begin with. No, barely. But that's good to know that, like, okay, like I kind of have to be in, like. Because the thing about watching like David Lynch movies is like I was aware when I was going to watch, so I was like, leave your phone in the other room. Like you pretend like you're in your theater. You can't you're not at home right now. And I guess that's one of those movies where like, okay, it very much is. Like you got to be like get in Emilia Pérez mode. Yes, you have to like enter the strangeness of the space. You can't just be like there and like checking your phone and folding laundry. I get it. Okay, good to know. Good to know. I mean, I feel like Mulholland Drive's a thrill a minute, laugh a minute. So, like, that's. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying, like, you can't be doing that while you're like making a sandwich. Yeah, that's true. Yes.
But all right, here's a speaking of speaking
Making
of David
sandwiches?
Lynch, here's
Nice. I
By
like
the way,
it.
I watched Mulholland Drive right after seeing this one. So,
yeah. Scott, why don't you give us a summary of Wicked?
you ever seen The Wizard of Oz? This has happened before that.
Yeah.
If you loved
Turns out Dorothy's a
prequels.
bitch.
Dorothy is a bitch.
not Dorothy, Glinda.
Glinda.
Yeah. Well, no.
Yeah.
Also Dorothy.
Well, Dorothy also.
Yeah, so it's the prequel to The Wizard of Oz. It's the story of the Elphaba, who we know as the Wicked Witch of the West, and Glinda the Good Witch. They knew each other in school, and honestly, this movie is them meeting each other. The end. Wicked is like there's a full story to the movie Wicked, and there's a full story, but this is, which not everyone knew, the first act of Wicked. This is next year we'll be getting Act 2.
The first act specifically of the musical, which this is an adaptation of, which itself was an adaptation of a book series.
No, it was a book.
Just the one book. He eventually did create a book series.
Yes, but they weren't connected. It was sort of like what's his name did with like Zombies and Pride and Prejudice, and then he also did like,
I get it,
because like there's like a Pinocchio
one.
There's
it's like ahead of its time.
Pokemon, that's not the word. There's a Pinocchio one.
Okay.
There's a Snow White one, but it's not like connected.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yes, this is, and I should say the series are much darker. The books are much darker.
Yes,
I've heard that.
I've heard. I remember trying to read the book back in the day and bouncing off quickly. I don't remember why. I think I just didn't like the prose. I was casually looking stuff up earlier, and I did find out that in the book, Elphaba's sister, instead of being in a wheelchair, is born without arms.
Cool. They probably would have had a much harder time casting that on Broadway.
I just like.
I can imagine that's why they changed it.
What a weird. I don't understand. But hey, you know.
Yeah.
I was a musical theater nerd in junior high.
As was I.
And I liked it. I liked this. I liked other musicals around this time period more, to be fair.
Same.
And this was like the last
Famously, so did the Tonys that year.
Yeah. Which one? What did win that year?
Avenue Q.
I like Avenue Q more, to be fair.
Me too.
And Spam-A-Lot isn't the same year, but it's around this era.
Oh, I love Spam-A-Lot.
I think few years later.
This was like the last era of Broadway that I was like really into, and then I didn't get cast as Charlie Brown in 8th grade, and I swore off musical theater. But joke's on them. The guy who had a better singing voice but was worse at acting, his voice dropped before the play started. So
wow.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one too. I thought it was a good musical. I don't know, like I was just kind of going in. I think I liked this one more than Emilia Pérez. I think Emilia Pérez does more interesting stuff, but I think this is just like a more solid like movie that knows what it wants to do. And I was like, oh yeah, it's all this.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is so much more commercial.
Yes,
like
100%.
I wish that the filmmaking itself had been a little more whimsical. And like just I think we would have been with it in its whimsy, like had it taken those chances. So I wish it like had done that a little bit in the Emilia Pérez way of like letting the music dictate the filmmaking a little bit more, rather than it just being like, I mean, he's obviously directed other musicals, movies. But yeah, there's something to me of the like modern movie music where I'm like, I don't know what like where it got lost along the way of like being able to really carry that spectacle onto screen the way that it felt like we used to be able to.
Yeah.
I think it's just it's just like the same as why like action movies aren't as like it's all very workmanlike, and it's there's not a lot of personality.
Yeah, I feel
it's
like,
sort of like going through the movie practice.
I mean, is like West Side Story, the Spielberg version, maybe the best in terms of that sense the last couple of years?
I do think as much. Yeah, I am not a big Spielberg fan, but I do think that filmmaking was very like a beautiful.
He clearly understands that thing.
Understands that thing, and it felt like the music was informing the cinematography, which, and like I think that relationship was also very strong in Emilia Pérez and was not as strong in Wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was well done. It was like, it felt mass produced. It felt in that like this needed to make everyone happy. There's going to be so many people that go see this, and what my roommate said at a good point is like, it is commendable that they did do that. That like they pleased so many people.
Yes.
Like it felt like they put it on its feet. But there was not a lot of personality to it. But I don't think there's not that much personality to the show Wicked. I don't know how everyone else feels. I'm a little cool on it. Especially, but it was interesting because all my problems with Wicked come in the second act. I think the first act is pretty amazing, actually. But I think it kind of falls apart in the second act. So I'm actually really curious to see the next one, and I think they can improve on it, honestly. My biggest issue with the second act, and we don't get into too much just because, but is the tone. I feel like the tone is off. It kind of becomes what I call like a feel-good tragedy. That like things are like, the story they're telling is actually quite a sad one. But they want to make the 9-year-olds who are going to see this happy, or at least not like traumatized. And I feel like that those two tones by the second act really do come in conflict with each other. But the first act, I think, really sells it and like sets up the story and like who the characters are. And I think they did that very well in that. Like I care about them. Now I can't wait till stuff starts happening to them. It's kind of how I felt.
I agree.
Casey, I've noticed you've been quiet.
Yeah, I mean, well, now everybody said what I wanted to say.
All right, let's move on.
I was trying to be polite. I was like, I'll go last. And I was like, well, that was everything. No, I completely agree. I think I was just talking about this today, where I was like, man, I wish it was just like technically better. Like I have so many, and if I understand correctly, I'm the only person that loves Wicked with all of their heart and soul.
Yes.
So all of my issues, like when I talk about it, I try to like dial back because all of my issues are so technical.
Don't dial back, man. Now's the place. This is cinema curse, man. If you can't do it here, where can you do it?
It looks like hot dog vomit. I think it's I don't understand. I don't understand why everybody's talking about it. So like, oh my goodness, when I go on Instagram and I see all these side by sides where they're just like, look at this shot compared to Wizard of Oz. Don't you want to cry? Don't you want to cry? Like,
yes.
There's no reason. I was telling a friend of mine, I was like, so a movie made almost 100 years ago looks better than a movie with like an unfathomable amount of money. Like, if they had made the Wizard of Oz, like, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. It bothers me so much. Also, maybe it was me. Maybe I was one of like, it was like Tenet or something. Did you guys also think the audio was horrible?
Of Wicked?
Yes.
It was so quiet.
It was ridiculous. I
almost went to the theater person to say, "Can you turn this up? I cannot hear that."
I saw it at the Dolby.
I saw it in the Dolby too. So.
Okay.
AMC Dolby, so it was pretty good.
Well, I guess I should have seen it at AMC. See, they're trying to milk all the money out of us.
Where did you
I
see
saw
it?
it at AMC. It was the sounded bad.
I saw it at Alamo.
Well,
It was all the
yeah.
chicken tender crunching.
yeah.
From me. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No. Keep please. Yeah.
But also, yeah, it's just really hard to talk about it as a movie because I think the biggest thing to its detriment is that it's divided in two. I think that that's like a bastardization of the entire conceit. I don't really understand. I mean, I get it. Defying Gravity is a big song or whatever. It feels like a massacre. And I forgot the other thing that I was going to say. Looks like dog shit.
What do you think about the performances?
Whatever
Okay.
on them. Honestly, like I feel like so much of the emotion. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Kind of almost the reverse of what Scott was saying. I felt like the movie like had drained all of the emotion out of all of the songs and the themes. So the performances, like it kind of just felt like everybody was walking through. To be quite honest with you, to me. I think to quote Family Guy, I think it insisted upon itself. It wanted to be like, this is a huge show. Everything that's happening is so big. Oh my goodness, this is where she got the hat from. And I was like, don't care. You don't even look like you care. But that's to me. Trying not to be too harsh a critic because I love the show so much. I just felt like it was pretty half buttocked the whole time.
I went in thinking I was going to hate that it was split into two parts, and I actually liked that it was split into two parts. I think it would have felt insane had they tried to do both in like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour time span. Because I do think where this really succeeded for me, where it fell flat for me on some of the musical sequences, I think it solved what many musicals struggle with of like the script actually really worked. Like the scenes really worked for me and it felt like a movie, where it was not to, quote Harry Styles talking about Don't Worry Darling, but like it's a movie that felt like a movie, like where I was watching it being like, yes, these are movie scenes in a real movie and not just like someone walking on the stage and saying 2 lines to get us to the next song, which can often be what a musical feels like on stage. But that said, I think
works on stage better
and works on stage because you're there for the songs, and people are just entering stage, saying something, and then leaving. Where here, like we needed the scenes to feel like scenes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think some of the musical sequences. Yeah, I thought the scenes kind of made up for me where the musical sequences felt lacking. But I will agree with you on like Defying Gravity. To me, I thought they broke that up so much.
Oh my goodness!
And oh my god, like where we never got the song. Like we were just like edging the entire sequence, like waiting for the actual song.
Yes.
And it also, I mean, and I think this is part of the thing of like with action movies and whatever, where like it feels like there's no danger on screen anymore. And I don't mean like danger within the movie. I mean, like, I am not worried that the actors are in physical danger where like in a lot of old movies, you're like, I'm pretty sure that guy is just jumping from that building to that building. And like, he maybe could have died, or like on The Wizard of Oz, where every single person involved in that movie left with like a lifelong medical condition, like where in this, like with Defying Gravity, and she's doing her big thing. Like when you see it on stage and it's this huge end of Act One thing, it feels amazing.
And she's flying.
She's flying. You are seeing a physical human in front of your eyes, flying in front of you, and it's incredible, right? And then
gravity.
He is defying gravity. This human person who is made of the same flesh and bone that I am is defying gravity 100 feet away from me. We're watching the movie. I was like, Cynthia Erivo is in front of a green screen. Like that's just what it like misses that thing. And I don't know how you like capture that.
I think
Tom Cruise does.
Yeah.
I know Tom Cruise does. Talk to Tom Cruise.
That's been his bread and butter. I know he's talked about wanting to make a musical, so maybe he'll be doing.
He should. He has the star power
so
for it.
bad, and I hope he does. I would love to see a Tom Cruise musical.
Yeah,
other than Rock of Ages.
I think I remembered obviously I know the story of Wizard of Oz, but in terms of the story of Wicked itself. And like the turns, like the animal stuff, I didn't remember fucking any of that when I went and saw this. And so to me, it was almost like seeing something completely new that I had like no context for. And I knew it was going to be a part one. And I think I also like my brain just like adjusts. Like I know Wicked is like this big studio movie, so like in terms of like visuals and stuff, my brain just like like I get
turns down the saturation.
It understands like what I'm going to see and how it's going to look.
I was going to say, you know what you're seeing. You're seeing one of these things, and this is what these things look like now.
And in that context, I was like, oh, I like this actually more than I thought I would, and I already thought I would kind of like it. And it just felt like a very like. We don't get this as much as we do, you know what I mean? Like this kind of big musical like this, and it's fun, like, because I saw it on like a fucking Tuesday, like at 1 p.m. or some shit, and it was like pretty busy when I saw it, and it was like a week or so afterwards, and like people are hungry for blockbusters that aren't, I mean, as much as I love, people can look around my fucking apartment, there's so much superhero shit around here, like people are hungry for other types of stuff, and it is cool going to something like this and seeing people, like dressed up like they were for like fucking Barbie and stuff last year. And I just thought that was cool.
I dressed up.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I did too.
And I was also excited that I figured out that it was Peter Dinklage doing the goat before the end credits, because the whole time I'm like, who the fuck is that? And I wondered, was he on set? Because he would have been the right eye line.
Terrible joke. I did really like the dance there. I mean, we're also going to be talking about another movie that has an interpretive dance in it. And I think both of those interpretive dances were like my favorite parts of the movies. Because I also really did appreciate during their like Dance at the Oz Dust Ballroom or whatever, like playing with silence, because nobody, like everyone seems so afraid of not having like wall to wall score or soundtrack on movies, and I just like loved and watching like an extended silent sequence. I thought was really powerful. That was my favorite like filmmaking in it.
I really liked I haven't really seen, I mean, she's more of a singer, I guess, but I was pretty impressed with Ariana. I thought she was like consistently pretty funny. Like I was like,
she was great, yeah.
And
I saw her on Broadway in 13 the Musical.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh nice! Oh wow!
And then Jeff Goldblum I also thought was pretty good in his like little sequence or so. Like it was good casting for the wizard.
I liked his little scene with the miniatures. I was like, oh, so you know how the camera works. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I like some of the press tour has been fun. The most offensive thing I've ever seen, that was fun when Cynthia Erivo got upset about that, and then of course holding space.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
We're all holding space.
We simply have to hold space. Yeah.
Incredible.
And I don't want to hurry us along. If anyone else has anything else to say about Wicked, but I think it's time to talk about G2, Gladiator 2, the Ridley Scott movie that's all brand new. Yeah, I've got this is a screenshot of one of the apes behind me from that. I guess I'll let Casey do Brutalist.
Oh no.
Oh shit.
How are you going to summarize that? A man builds a building.
Just only spoilers. I'm like, oh man. And then he goes like, oh man.
Scott, I'll give you double duty. I'll let you do Gladiator 2 again. You'll go twice in a row.
Okay, Gladiator 2, a sequel to Ridley Scott's 2000 Best Picture winner. It is a legacy sequel in that, like, it's just kind of a reboot of the first one, a remake. Paul Mescal plays I don't know what his character's name is. Lucius.
The boy. The boy.
The boy, yeah. Lucius, his city was taken over by Rome. He is purchased by Denzel Washington and become a slave, or a gladiator, and I don't know, they got to gladiate. And
it's
a lot happens in this movie, but also nothing much happens in this movie. Like, it's actually like complicated, but also
yeah, it's like,
because like I haven't mentioned Pedro Pascal yet.
Yeah, it's kind of like the it's like a remix of the first one, because it really isn't the same movie as the first one, and I think in a lot of different ways, but it takes it has all the elements in the first one and like puts them in different places.
Yes.
One character becomes a different character, like I would say notably.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good way to describe it, a remix of the first one. Yeah.
Now I'm curious which characters you're talking about.
Well, we might have to put up spoilers for that one, but I watched this. I saw this in Queer the same day on Thanksgiving at AMC for Thanksgiving. Thanks spelled AMC instead of ANK. Yeah, I've realized a lot, like, I don't give a fuck about the Roman Empire. People always talk about how people, like, really, especially, like, straight men, and I guess technically I'm not, really give a shit about the Roman Empire. I just watched the first one, which I thought was good, and I thought this one was also good. I thought they were both fine, to be honest. I mean, the first one is better, but I didn't have, like, any sort of built-up idea of what the first one was, you know. I thought the cast was really good, especially Denzel. I like that the characters occupy different positions in the story. Well, there's like one specific one, which is that because Denzel, I think is going to be the Oliver Reed character from the first one, who's like the supporting, and then he's something different in terms of like the narrative of the story. And I do like some of the conflicts. Like, I like that the two male leads for the first half, like, one hates the other, and
that's fun.
And the other is like, I need to protect this person because I'm married to his mom.
There's a lot of like very good dramatic irony between the two of them specifically.
I like that stuff. I agree. It could have done more for sure, but like, again, I was kind of just like Thanksgiving, I was hanging out with Paul, and I went to see Queer by myself, and then I raised my hand on the thing. I gotta lower my hand. And then I went to see G2 with my buddy Paul, and we had a good time in the IMAX theater.
I will admit, by the time I saw G2, I was a bit tired. My day was Wicked, Mulholland Drive, Inland Empire, and then Gladiator. So I was kind of exhausted.
That's too many movies.
Yeah. So that might have been part of it. Like, I don't know, fuck it.
That's a lot of movie each time too. Yeah. It's not like you watch the Evil Dead trilogy, which are all like 80 minutes long.
Yeah, each one was all right, let's do that again.
2.5 hours.
I saw Gladiator 2 in theaters the day after Wicked.
Okay.
And like left it being like, yeah, that was fine. You know, like I enjoyed that.
I feel like my uncles would like this.
Yeah. Like I was like, that was a fun few hours at the movies, you know, but I really didn't remember the plot of Gladiator pretty much. And then maybe a week later, a friend of mine who loves Gladiator had seen Gladiator 2 and was furious about all of the like retcon it does to Gladiator. And so we all like, she got a bunch of us together and watched it. And like, then I became like, it radicalized me against Gladiator 2. Because I was watching Gladiator, I was like, I can't fucking believe like what they do to this story by the fact of Gladiator 2 existing in the way that it does. Because it does just undo Gladiator.
Yeah.
It's just like, whoopsie, didn't stick, back to 1, you know, which sucks.
Yeah. I don't care. I think
Sure.
that's my issue. I mean, genuinely, I wish. I don't know if you guys have heard about the original version that Nick Cave
Yes.
was writing.
Yes.
I'm gonna read some of this from this Wikipedia page. Let's see, Nick Cave was commissioned to write a new draft of the script. It was later revealed to be written under the working title of Christ Killer. The story involved Maximus in purgatory, who is resurrected as an immortal warrior for the Roman gods. Maximus is sent back to Earth and tasked with ending Christianity by killing Jesus and his disciples, as Christianity was draining the power of the ancient pagan gods. During his mission, Maximus is tricked into murdering his own son. Cursed to live forever, Maximus fights in the Crusades, World War II, and the Vietnam War, with the ending revealing that in the present day, the character now works at the Pentagon. The script was rejected and scrapped after Steven Spielberg, who had consulted on the original film, told Scott it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I would love to see that movie. It's Forrest Gump Gladiator. I want to watch it.
Or like the opening credits of like X-Men Origins Wolverine, but like we actually get to see all that cool shit.
The good news is that movie doesn't exist, but what does exist is what are we watching next Monday?
Assassin 33 AD. We're talking about on the next episode of Cinema Curse 2, which is a movie about time-traveling Muslims who go back in time to kill Jesus before he can become a martyr.
Wow.
So the story is eventually told.
Fantastic. I'm so glad it's out there in the world.
Yeah. I liked the battles also. I thought I liked the
I thought the fights were really well done, yeah.
And
the
like
opening battle was really well done.
How different they are, you know what I mean? Like especially like you get the C one in the Colosseum, and then you get a lot not in the Colosseum, including this is a mild spoiler, but the final battle does not take place in the Colosseum in this movie. And yeah, I kind of want to talk about some of these spoilers. So let me put up a spoiler warning.
I don't want it to be spoiled, so I'm gonna.
Okay.
Thank you.
Casey's gonna disappear for a second. So you know what's fucked up is I thought I had heard before I watched the first one that Paul Mescal was playing the son. Was playing the boy in the first movie grown up, but also who was supposed to be the son of Russell Crowe. So when I watched the first movie, I was like waiting for that reveal.
Oh.
And then it never happened. And I kind of, in my head, I was like, in a weird way, because I understand that it, like, some people would argue that it works against some of the stuff the first movie is doing. But in a weird way, I was kind of watching it like, I was just like, well, it kind of makes sense. Like, it feels like the movie's about to reveal that at any moment, but I don't know.
I so disagree. Russell Crowe in the first movie is like such a wife guy that like, I think reading his, I when I went back and watched the first movie, I was like, the implication for me of who this kid is it's Joaquin Phoenix's kid. I was like, this is 100% like a weirdo Emperor's kid's incest child. And like that to me was so much more heavily implied in Gladiator in a way that worked for me. And then like the one interaction that Maximus and Lucius have, I was like, he is connecting with him on an emotional level because this kid is the exact same age as his kid. And I don't think that he fathered those two kids at the same time.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it was kind of implied in the first movie that they had a relationship.
Yes.
But
that
in
it was
the past.
over. But yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It did not. Yeah, I was with you, Connor, in that like I knew he was the
son,
the boy, the son. But I guess I didn't. I was like, oh, so then he's not the son. I'd heard that he was going to be the son of Maximus, but then like when they said that he's the son of that, I was like, oh, so then he can't be the son of Maximus. I guess that changed. So when they did the movie, I was like, what? That doesn't work.
Well, I will say this. The boy who played his son who dies in the first movie is like 5 or so years younger than the kid who is the boy that Paul Mescal is. And
so it is possible that he had one first and then the other.
Yes.
But I thought he has a line in the first movie that he's like, my son's the same age.
I think maybe the idea, isn't it like my boy would be the same age or something? Oh yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it is.
I mean, it's vague. I don't know.
It's vague. I just watching it, I really, really was like, the implication to me here is that this is Joaquin Phoenix's son, and that is a far creepier and more twisted and interesting story to me than, oh, it's Maximus's son. And also the end of the first movie where it's like, your son is safe. And then 10 minutes later, he's like, actually, no, he's not. Run, get out of Rome.
Yeah.
Like,
we need to set up for a sequel.
I mean,
crazy. That's I think, that's what it is. I think if there's any, like, I think it's interesting how the movie kind of exists as like very centrist entertainment. It reminds me, I saw this guy, FD Signifier, who does like YouTube essays, did like a little thing talking about, I haven't watched all of it yet, but talking about Denzel's character, who, spoiler, he's the one who ends up becoming the villain, even though he's kind of set up as like more of an ally in the first parts. But like Denzel,
that was interesting. I will say
that was the best part to me.
Denzel's the best part.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
But like FD was like comparing like Denzel in this and Killmonger and Black Panther and these like characters who want to like burn down the world, and but we have to make sure we make all these movies where they're proven to be wrong. That's not how you change the world. You have to change the world within the system. And I haven't watched the full essay yet, but I assume that's what that's about, because I kind of watching it, I was like, oh, okay, like, you know. He's kind of like righteously being like, fuck Rome. And the movie is like, what if Rome wasn't all bad?
I know. I just would have been so much more curious, like, accepting that the wonderful sounding Nick Cave script wasn't gonna happen. Like, I think it would have been so much more interesting to just have it, like, have the Senate took over, and guess what? Politicians are corrupt too, just something that was like, it wasn't 100% the same movie, like that it was right, that it was like, we moved forward, but like in moving forward, like the cracks are always going to find a way, because people who want to be in power, I mean, sort of this is what Denzel's character was doing, you know, of the like people who want to be in power are going to find a way around the system to like control it. And I would have been just so much more interested in seeing like, okay, we've got the Senate in power. They've been operating for 20 years and businessmen, whatever, are pulling the purse strings. Like you have the opportunity to actually like talk about politics.
It's like the issue with Ghostbusters 2, where Ghostbusters 2 suddenly it's like, does nobody remember there was fucking ghosts? And suddenly we're all back to ground zero. And it would have been way like my idea is, you know, somebody can steal this because but like it'd be cool to see like how in the same way that Ghostbusters were supposed to be blue collar workers, like how would that system then propagate out? You know what I mean? Like there'd be ghost court at like lower levels and things like that. And but instead it's just like, everybody forgets in between each Ghostbusters movie, like fucking Statue of Liberty's walking around.
Right.
Yeah, I've always said like it'd be great if they'd make a Ghostbusters movie that started with them as Ghostbusters. Like we don't have to like set up the premise. Like we live in a world where there are Ghostbusters. And this is what they do. Begin.
There are ghosts and Ghostbusters.
I think the movie was just too complicated. Like there's too much going on, too many stories. The first one's pretty simple. It's a revenge movie. With like, despite everything going on, it's essentially just he wants to kill Joaquin Phoenix. Like all the stuff with the Senate, you know, like sure, if killing him means saving the Senate, great. But give me some killing. That's what I'm here for.
Well, I think it's time. I'm done talking about G2.
Sure.
The Ridley Scott movie. That's
loved the monkey.
Loved the monkey.
Loved the pet monkey. That was great.
Oh yeah.
Also, by the way, David, to your point, I think Denzel's like argument would have been more interesting even if he would have gone with Heaton with the Senate, where he would have been like, we've tried it with an emperor, we've tried it with the Senate, burn it down. It doesn't work.
Yes. Show me that movie. I want to watch Denzel taking up way more space in that movie. I also, I'm sure you guys have talked about Conclave.
Save space for him.
Save space for him. I really wanted to see Denzel just plucked straight out of Gladiator 2 and plopped into Conclave. I think he would have been having a fantastic time.
As one of the cardinals.
One of the cardinals, just like, oh, let's see what we can do about this vote. Huh?
Yeah, I do appreciate Ridley Scott's commitment. I think it works for these movies of just like people just using their normal voices for the most part. You know what I mean? Like I think it totally.
Aside from Paul not being Irish.
but using like naturalistic voices as opposed to like going for fucking Robert Eggers, the Northman style, like specific whatevers. And
I think they should all just talk, hey, it's me, a gladiator.
It's like a version of an adaptation of Gladiator that's like set. It's like West Side Story, but for Gladiator.
Love it. That's the musical that Tom Cruise can star in.
Hell yeah. But
I'm sorry. I just remembered something. I haven't seen Gladiator 2, but I was remembering a time that Connor, you and I went to the movies, and a friend of ours was. So you were on my left, and a friend of ours was on my right, and the Gladiator 2 trailer came on, and it was in the midst of all that controversy about having rap over the trailer.
Yeah.
And Connor, you leaned over to me and you were like, I think it's so stupid that people are mad about this. And I was like, no, I know, I agree. And then I turned my head and our friend on my right was like, this is ridiculous. Why would they have a rap song over this?
I'm right though. I'm right 100%.
You're right.
Who cares about historical accuracy?
Well, also, I was somewhat my very pro Gladiator friend sent me like the promo materials for the original Gladiator, and it's like all the football and like it's part of the whole.
I remember seeing the first one, like a preview for it, and they were using Kid Rock's "Ba with a Ba." When he was like fighting the tiger, and like I just seen that, I was like, I can't wait to see this movie. This movie's gonna be incredible.
Even in the context, I remember with like Napoleon last year when they were like, Napoleon didn't shoot cannons at the pyramids, and Ridley Scott was like, who cares?
I love he sent some letter to like I don't know, with the campaign, having to campaign for movies or whatever, and he was like, I'm not thinking about this movie anymore about Gladiator 2. Like part of award season. He was like, it's done. I've moved on.
Yeah, motherfucker makes a lot of movies.
Yeah. And doesn't have much time left. So
yeah. But,
you got Denzel, you got Mescal, you're fine.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Here's a still image from Queer. And
is that in the movie?
No.
That's Glass Onion.
That's from Glass Onion.
God. I was like, I don't remember that moment.
I'll summarize Queer, which is kind of difficult to do. It's the story. It's based on a William S. Burroughs book that's like semi-fictional. It's like his stand-in character living in Mexico and drinking and falling in love with this younger guy who may or may not also be queer. And also there's like ayahuasca involved at a certain point. And you know, I mean, like it's because like I'm not super familiar with William S. Burroughs. Like the most thing I'm most familiar with, honestly, is David Cronenberg's movie of Naked Lunch. And so like knowing that going in, I kind of like had like I was like, okay, well, I don't feel like there's not gonna be a lot of story, so to speak, in this movie. It's gonna be a lot more like vibes. And whereas Naked Lunch is like paranoid heroin withdrawal and stuff, this is more like sad, lonely longing. Definitely not my favorite of Luca's 2 movies this year. This is the second movie by Luca Guadagnino, but still really good. I just wish it had a more like straightforward or gay forward storyline, you know. But what about you, Daisygreen? What do you think?
I definitely wish it had had more of a straightforward or gay forward storyline. I felt very like on the outside trying to find a way into this movie for the entire movie. Like where I can kind of appreciate and Challengers was my favorite movie this year. So like, and I also, this is the first in the run of Luca movies. Like I was also a big lover of Suspiria and Bones and All, which not everyone is.
I love Suspiria. Bones and All I bounced off of.
And yeah, so I'm down for Luca's like freakier shit. But this, like the freaky stuff didn't freak me out that much, actually. It was the like these two people existing in Mexico together. I was like, I need someone to have a normal conversation. Like I need someone to give me some way into these characters, and I felt like I had none. And even this, I mean, in your summary of the like, you know, the question of kind of like, and is this younger guy queer? Like I was like, how are we asking that? Like they have sex right away. Like where I just was like, I'm not sure. I don't understand it felt like he was asking that of this relationship after I thought we'd already established it, you know?
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying. That wasn't. I think for me, it's like the issue with Emilia Pérez, right? I wish we're like Emilia Pérez. I wanted more to like elaborate on all those aspects of the movie. I wish this had like focused in more on either A, their relationship, B, the jungle ayahuasca stuff, or C, like very specifically like Naked Lunch, be about this guy's alienation and headspace, and instead it's kind of about all three at the same time. I think because I think that, like, you know, in the same way that there are a lot of gay people or queer people who have straight sex and relationships, I think that that's, you know, true on the other end in a way where, like, people, you know, especially someone who's younger, who doesn't really know what's going on, who, you know, meets this guy, this writer,
Right.
And so I think there's something interesting there about like, is this kid gay in the way that Daniel Craig is gay? Because like the answer
Yeah.
seems to be no, to be fair, in the movie. That
Well, but that's what was so confusing to me about it, because I felt like the only thing that I was sure of watching this movie was that Drew Starkey's character hated Daniel Craig's character. Like,
yeah.
I was just like, like I've been in those relationships where you're like, God, I fucking hate you, like where you're just spending time with this person who's like everything they do is really embarrassing. Like, he's so like Daniel Craig's character in this movie is like so cringy.
Yeah.
Like from the get, especially with the Drew Starkey character, that I so get that, like,
Yeah.
ugh, like I'm so sort of repulsed by you, and yet I'm spending all this time with you thing. But so to me, I was like, why on earth would he be spending any time with him if there isn't at least the sort of like sexual exploration component?
I think the thing is that the movie, because the movie is so much from Daniel Craig's character's POV, in that it is so much about like it's really about him and his own insecurities and stuff. And so
Yeah.
like these other characters that exist outside of him, it's like, it's hard to say if like how much of what we're seeing is Drew Starkey's actual character and how much of this is supposed to be like Daniel Craig's own fucked up brain, like making him thinking that this guy hates him. And
Totally, I can see that, because I actually do think, like, how I kind of read it more than it seems like you're saying with the like it seems ultimately like he's not. Is when they take this ayahuasca trip, like, which I loved. Like, that sequence, that whole part where they're in the jungle, to me was my favorite part. The first part was the hardest for me, when they're in Mexico.
Yeah.
And then I liked the travel, and then I liked so I liked each part progressively more until the epilogue, which I didn't like at all. But the like them in the jungle and doing the ayahuasca and having the way that was like shot and interpreted, I thought was fantastic. And like that was like the Luca that I really, really love. Like, that sequence to me was the equivalent of like POV tennis ball, like where it just really leaned so hard into what it was, which I really loved. But my like experience of that almost was like was just that thing of, and I felt like I think you were saying the same thing in a way of like wanting more of that relationship of like,
I almost
just that thing of when you hate someone, but you love them, and it really grosses you out about yourself that you actually do love them.
Yeah, maybe when I said earlier that I think that Drew Starkey isn't queer, I think maybe when I'm saying what I meant to say, that I'm realizing now retroactively, is that like from his POV he isn't, essentially, and that
yes, from Daniel Craig's POV,
which to him is like this whole rejection of Daniel Craig and his like personage.
Right. Which I think we see a bit. He's a very unreliable narrator when he like they're fighting at one point, and he's talking about how horrible Drew Starkey's character was to him when he was like drug sick. And what we as an audience witnessed was like, he's taking very sweet care of you.
Yeah, he's being very nice to this older man who he's letting do things with. I mean, I kind of agree. Like the first half in Mexico, second half the traveling plus the ayahuasca stuff. I get what I said earlier. It's like I feel like the movie kind of should have been one of those two things. You know what I mean? Like it should have been more about that community and relationships in Mexico, or it should have been about him traveling with this guy who he's not sure if
wants to be there
and all that stuff. I am glad that Luca is continuing to collaborate with Justin Kuritsky's or whatever his name is, aka the potion seller man. Music's great, obviously. Reznor, Atticus, and I liked the we were talking with Gladiator 2 about songs that are.
I loved the time. Nirvana.
Yeah, they play a Nirvana song the first time, and I thought that totally worked. It gave an out of time vibe to the movie, which I think works in its favor.
I thought that worked really well. I also loved there was some filmmaking stuff with with Daniel Craig's character, the way that his feelings and his yearning was externalized of this double exposure hand. I
had that.
I thought that was I thought that was just really beautiful. And I don't feel like I've seen that specific device used ever. Could be totally wrong, but
for people
I loved that.
Haven't seen it. There's these moments where Craig is near Daniel Craig, who's great. The performances are all really good, and I like Daniel Craig a lot. And I also like Jason Schwartzman, who is wearing a fat suit, I think maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
And but Daniel Craig, when he's wanting to, we got an Indiana cameo on the video. On the YouTube version. Oh, there's Indiana. Oh, look at them. Oh my goodness. That's a sweet old pup. That's what you're missing out by not. Yeah, Casey, we're way moved on past Gladiator 2, so you can unmute if you want to.
I was listening. I just didn't have anything to contribute.
Oh, okay. But
you guys majorly spoiled Queer for me, by the way.
It's
what? That it's about being queer?
I'm angry about it. Forget it.
But he
didn't know Daniel Craig was in it, so he's pretty upset that you guys gave that away.
There are these moments where Daniel Craig clearly wants to reach out and touch Drew Starkey's character, and the way they visualize this is they have this double exposure where it kind of it looks normally like Daniel Craig's just sitting there, but then you see this kind of ghost hand reaching out from Phantom Craig, almost said Daniel Craig, to touch Drew Starkey, on the head or on his back or whatever. I thought that stuff was cool. I
thought that was really well done.
Yeah, another good. I think the theme, the general theme here for all these movies is I liked them all. I didn't love any of these movies, I gotta be honest. I think my favorite is the last one we'll talk about, but I still didn't quite love it. But yeah, I'm done talking about Queer. If we are all right. Here's a promotional still from the Brutalist. Casey, can you give us a summary of The Brutalist?
Okay, this is gonna be rough because you guys were talking about a trip to Italy, and I was like, "Dang, when was that?" But The Brutalist, it's an epic about the immigrant experience. It's about Adrian Brody's character, who immigrates to America by himself to meet his cousin. Yes. And his cousin owns a furniture store, and he helps him with the big thing is or the inciting incident is a commission of a library for this American, umpteenth illionaire. And I mean, I don't know. Am I right in saying it's mostly a character piece, pretty plotless outside of the big commission? His work is so much that.
Yeah, we find out that he was an architect before, and he's Jewish, and so obviously the events of World War II, living in Europe, completely fucked his life up, and so he is kind of nothing in America at first, and he's kind of it's like one of those stories of somebody chasing the American dream, and his relationship with his wife, who eventually comes into the picture and is crippled because of the events of the Holocaust and World War II, and his relationship with Guy Pearce, who's this wealthy industrialist who wants to make like a giant monument to like his mom or something. That's like this giant building that he's building for most of the movie. What do people think about this film? It's probably my favorite of these movies we're talking about.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely my favorite of the movies. Although I did not see two of them. I liked it a lot. I will admit I saw it at Beyond Fest, where it was a very difficult ticket to get. So there was just an excitement. The director and producer were there. So that always helps. And just like, this movie was incredible. Mm-hmm. But I thought the filmmaking was great. I loved that it was done on VistaVision. And it looked
Edwin
incredible.
was really pumped about that when it got released. Edwin, the usual co-host here, he was specifically like in the seat, like, "Fuck yeah, the Brutalist, let's go!" And it's like a 3-hour drama about like greed and anti-Semitism and drug abuse and rape and all this other fucked up shit.
Yeah. That was the attitude with the people I was with too. We were all like absolutely psyched for the Brutalist.
Yeah. So there was a guy at the screening I went to. He got in a standby line. He made it in. He was there at like 4:30 in the morning for a 7:30 screening.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sat behind him, and when I found out it was him, I had to ask him, when did the second person come in line?
Yeah.
9:30.
How much later? Oh my God. Wow.
You could have showed up there at 9 and you would have had a half hour to yourself.
Wow.
You got breakfast.
Yeah, go back to bed. I loved, I would say maybe 85% of this movie chronologically.
Okay.
And then the last 15%, it lost me a bit. Mm-hmm. Although I will say, like where it lost me without spoiling is when she goes to the house. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That scene to me was, I thought the writing in that scene was like, I was out. It just so didn't feel real to me the way that the rest of the movie really, really had me. Mm-hmm. And then like the very end, I was like jarring. There's a time jump, you know, and like the very end was jarring in that sense, which I think it always is when there's sort of a time jump and you're like, oh my God, like everyone's got wigs.
And here they come.
Yeah. But I have like been specifically the little epilogue, like I think the central idea that is presented in the epilogue has a lot to do with like with art and artists, like does the process matter or does only the final result matter? And I think like that question has really, really stuck with me. And I have very like mixed feelings about it because part of me also is like, they made this movie for less than $10 million, which is completely insane. Like completely insane. It looks 1,000 times better than Wicked.
Oh my God. Like not Jesus.
Like you cannot believe how good this movie looks, which to me, I am like, I have never wanted to speak to a PA on a movie more than like finding a PA on The Brutalist and being like, was it a nightmare? Like it had to have been a nightmare. And is this sort of central question like, well, the process doesn't matter if the result is awesome. Like, is that Brady Corbett's way of being like, I'm sorry I terrorized you and didn't pay anyone, but I made a masterpiece. So I'm so deeply curious what the process of making that movie was like, and also how in the hell they made it for under 10.
I thought it was based on a real dude for most of the movie, I gotta be honest, and I thought that was like helping, you know what I mean, the production costs, where I was like, okay, well, they can like shoot at places where this stuff happened, you know what I mean, and like save, you know, and it's like, no,
they don't have to build a building in real time.
Yeah, but no, they did, I guess. I think it is a very good movie. I also think it is in line. It's kind of in this line of movies. I've seen people compare it to like Oppenheimer. I think the comparisons are obvious. There Will Be Blood, more like the 70s era films. There's a lot of those films you can compare it to. And I feel like for me, it doesn't quite do enough to stand out from that group of films where like I would select this over one of those movies. I wish it went in more. This is kind of a complaint I've had about like half these movies tonight, is like I wish it went further with either like his like the Holocaust and the Jewishness and that stuff, or with the actual process of the architectural design, because some of the most interesting stuff at the end when they like are actually talking about his architectural design and what that could have meant, and I was like, oh, I wish I could have seen that. Like I wish the movie had focused on that. But it is very good, and it is one of the few movies this year that the more I think about it, the more I like it, actually, as opposed to the other way around, which is usually more the case.
Yeah, that to me, every other movie we've talked about, I've liked less after I saw it, and The Brutalist is the only one that I've liked more.
I remember when I originally like just talked about it on Letterboxd, one thing I said is like, I'm not sure if it quite sticks the landing, and I think like just it's been a while since I've seen it, because it's almost 2 months now. I do remember that, like, that house scene. Although I like we were going in a different direction. I remember, like, again, technically it was amazing because it was all one shot.
Was it? I don't notice that.
It's
or
not
at least
like,
made to be one, look like one.
Yeah.
No, I think it. I mean, it's because it just follows her for the most part.
That's true.
Right.
And it's done really well. And even if like suddenly, but like that's when things kind of like took a turn, and like he talked about like the artistic process, and like that's kind of the story he was telling. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that's what we were watching. Like, because it seemed much more about the Jewish experience and the immigrant experience. And then suddenly, like, the end seemed to be the end of that story. Like the end of the, like you said, the last 15% of the movie seemed to be the end of this, telling the end of this story about this artist who struggled. And I was like, I didn't realize that's the movie we were actually watching for most of the time. Which is why I'd like to see it again, honestly.
Abstractly, I like that ending stuff. I know what y'all mean. To me, the stuff that lost me the most was more just some of the heroin stuff, because I was just kind of like, I've seen heroin junkies in movies before. I'm fine. And I
actually go ahead.
I also say I think the movie's like a little. There's a couple notes that I thought were like a little pretentious, like the name of the first half, "The Enigma of Arrival." Like, thumbs down. Retitle that. Sucks. I also like why such an early hog? Like, I don't mind sex in movies, but we see like Adrian Brody's hog. I don't know if it's his real hog. It's probably a prosthetic penis, but we see it within like 2 minutes of the movie opening, and it's like, come on, like you got to throw us a hog before the opening title. Like, what the fuck? And
I remember when that happened, I was like, okay. And to me, it was like, all right, so this is what we're doing. I get it. All right, here we go. It's 3.5 hours. It's an intermission. Yep, you're gonna get some dick.
Yeah, but we didn't get like
honestly,
a whole lot of dick.
I was surprised at the restraint. That's really the only time. Like,
yeah, I thought we were. Yeah, I mean, I would have been okay with it if we had gotten. It's not like if Boogie Nights opens with Hog. That like makes sense because that's the movie's all about it. But this movie isn't really that much. I did think Guy Pearce was excellent, but I will be mad if he beats Kieran Culkin. Because I really liked A Real Pain, and also I was the whole time Zofia, that character, I was like, who the fuck is this girl? She looks like Natalie Dyer from Stranger Things, but it's she's the daughter from Killing of a Sacred Deer. His niece, the daughter who is in that movie where all those wonderful things happen. But
yeah, this is the best I've seen Joe Alwyn in anything.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was very good. I really believed his. I mean, I
liked him
didn't.
In Kinds of Kindness earlier this year.
I did like him in Kinds of Kindness. Well, but I think this to me leans into like, I think not enough people stand up for conventionally attractive men, and so I'll be their advocate that like. I think there are so many conventionally attractive men who get cast as these like, lover boy roles, and they can't pull it off, and they just want to be weird little guys.
The Colin Farrell effect.
Yes. The Rob Pattinson effect. Like he can pull off the romantic lead. Who are we kidding? But he can pull off both.
Have you seen the dub of The Boy and the Heron?
Yes, he's insane.
It's fucking nuts.
He's completely insane. But like, so to me, the Joe Alwyn, like, because I find him to be like, sure, conventionally attractive, but like absolutely not an ounce of sex appeal whatsoever. And so like he was getting cast for a while as these like pretty boys who I was supposed to be attracted to. And then now that he's doing a weird thing, I'm into it.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of a specific weird thing, which is like a shitty dude. Like it's not like a really
shitty handsome dude. Yeah,
like a guy who's getting away with like the handsome, but also aware of what the handsomeness is like, letting him get away with. And well, and
the specific type of dude who is like, I'm handsome. Why am I not allowed to have sex with my sister? Like that. Like, I really bought him. I also liked his little paunch, like I thought there were so many details that really, really worked for me.
Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of details, I loved, and maybe this is just my own personal taste. I loved that Adrian Brody was like leagues ahead fashion wise than like literally everybody else. Like he was gorgeous every single time he was on camera. And I was like, yeah, you are a genius. Look at your clothes.
Yeah. We actually haven't talked about him, but he's very, very good at it.
He's very good at it.
Yeah. Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah.
He's fantastic in it.
No, I think no one else could have done this.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I can't picture anybody else in a role. This. Yeah.
What did you guys think of Felicity Jones?
Oh, I thought you meant the show. I was like,
yeah, I'm gonna
love the show.
Connor's
last season, pretty crazy.
She was good. I feel like Adrian Brody and Guy Pearce are the real standouts on performances. I feel like the other performances are very like supporting, and for me at least.
I thought she was fine.
Yeah. Not bad. Like she's good.
Not bad at all. I thought she didn't like take away from it at all for me, and I actually did I liked her character a lot when she arrived, which I also think is like a tough thing to do. How late she comes in.
Yeah.
She did like really make an impact when she arrived, but I don't know. Like I don't know if like a different performance would have made the ending work for me. Mm-hmm. I don't think it would have for me. I think my problem with the ending was the writing, but I thought she was good.
Yeah. I would agree. Yeah, the compared even like Joe Alwyn or something like that, where it's like I couldn't imagine somebody else. Like I could almost see. No offense, sorry Felicity Jones if you're watching, but I could see like a different actress slotting in there and being as good. Whereas like if you swapped out Guy Pearce or Adrian Brody especially, it would be like a totally different movie.
Yes, which I think also in a way comes down to the writing for me too, though, where it's like she's just the wife.
Yeah, she is
think,
just the wife.
How many movies can you just swap in? Oh, the wife could be anybody, and it's unfortunately a lot of movies.
I think like she's actually very good in that, like we remember her, and she's not like her character is just the wife, but she doesn't feel like just like she. I think that's what she does. Is like kind of bring a thankless character to life, but that character does kind of remain thankless.
I remember when the intermission came, I was like so excited because I was like, oh, here she comes. The first act builds her so large, and then when he meets her at the train station, I full on started like weeping. Like I could not control myself how big of an impact she had. And I think the same thing. That's where it lost me with the writing because I felt like the movie wanted you to have a lot of emotional investment in her, and like everybody was ready to give that, and then it kind of flounders her specifically towards the end.
Yes. I think it was something was very bizarre to me about after they have the big scene where things go south before they go to the house. Yeah. You're all tracking what I'm saying. I didn't realize, like, when we leave the house, it's the last time or when we leave the scene before that, it's the last time we see him. Like, that to me was so bizarre that there was like none of the fallout from the house. We were just with him for all of the movie until this strange departure, and then we effectively don't go back to him. And that to me, I felt like robbed of my like final moments with Adrian Brody's character.
Yeah at that point, the last, like, the climactic scene, I mean, I think we don't need to put up the spoiler for this discussion, but like for people who don't see it, like Adrian Brody essentially isn't in the climax, even though he's the main character.
Right.
And
then when we go to the epilogue, he's effectively like he's just there. Yeah. Like, so we don't get this like real final culmination, climax, like catharsis with our guy, which is a bit crazy to me after we've just spent like 3.5 hours with him.
Which, for people who, the runtime's listed is 3 hours and 35 minutes, but no, 15 of that is an intermission. So
yes. I will say it flew by.
Yeah.
It flew by.
And something should be known about that intermission, if you see it on 70 millimeter, which I would recommend, the intermission is like built in like the reel. So there's like a countdown. It's exactly 15 minutes.
It's so fun.
I'll be curious to see if they do that in like at AMC or Regal.
They have to.
They're not going to play it at a Regal.
Well, like I saw Dr. Zhivago for the first time, like at a Regal, and they did the intermission.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
I'll be
fucking
more
more movies that are like longer than 3 hours. Sans credits should have. Like Marty last year, I remember I went to
should have been an intermission.
I remember we went and he couldn't even do the Q&A after the movie because he was like, it's too long. And it's like, Marty, you made the movie, bro. Like,
right. This goes back a little bit to Wicked, but like, I think and I'm praying that someone someday in Hollywood is brave enough to do this. Like, I think they should be releasing part 2 like in a week. Like have them sure, get your money, split it into 2, get your money twice, fine. Like we'll go, right? But like have them be in theaters at the same time so that if I want to spend a day where I watch 7 hours of this, I can make that choice and do that. Like, I want to be able to in theaters watch the whole thing and not wait a year and then go, oh wait, what happened in the first one? You know, like
that's what Kevin Costner thought too, but
I know that's what Kevin Costner, listen,
he
had some good ideas. There are some good ideas.
And then the world said no, rejected it. But yeah, I think, does anybody else have anything to finish saying about Brutalist?
Absolutely wins best title design.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
me too.
So far, it's the front runner, definitely.
I started to like grow it myself because I was like, when I saw a special appearance from Ariane Lebed, I was like, yeah. And I watched the whole movie just looking for her.
One last thing, just because I didn't bring it up. When I was watching this, I just remember the scene in the very beginning when they were like getting off the boat. They had made it to, and just the way it was done. Watching that, I just remember thinking like, "Oh, I am really going to like this movie."
Yeah.
I have a feeling I am going to really, really like this is going to be a very enjoyable. I'm not saying it's a good time, but this is going to be.
It is a good time.
I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying, though. It's
a good time at the movies. Bad shit's happening, but it's a good time at the movies.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I felt.
I do like the way that shot is echoed later at that end in the the house scene that we keep alluding to.
To that point, I do think, and I think this is where I've like had to think so much about the ending and kind of the like question that we're left with in a way, because I felt like I was watching it and like when you look back at the beginning and how ecstatic he is to like get to America and like how thankful he is to this like shitty cousin who's giving him nothing, to then how much his character changes and becomes like so ungrateful and like so miserable, and not saying thank you to when really people are working hard for him, and that thing to me of like, I forget which of the characters say it, but I think either the niece or the wife of like, it's rotten here, and like that real kind of like the rot of the American dream, like, to me, that was the movie, that's what I was watching was like America is like a poisonous nation and like it will ruin you. Like you will come here and you will, once you buy into this like snake oil that we have sold you as a country, like we will not fix your ailments. We will make everything worse. And like, sorry if my feelings about America are like showing a little bit, but like, but like that to me, like that was so fascinating and so compelling. And that felt like what we were, showing, not telling, watching this movie was like seeing that rot affect someone. And so then to have the ending be like, that's not what it was about. I was like, no,
exactly.
Okay.
Like, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like interesting. Okay.
No. It is why I'd like to see it again.
Yes.
Same.
Out of all these movies, like, I feel like, Emilia Pérez, Queer, and Gladiator 2, I'm not going to watch again. I might watch Wicked again with my parents, to be honest, around Christmas, which is in theaters.
I suspect I will be
just because I feel like they're going to like it, you know what I mean? And it's always nice to go. And but this is the movie out of these that I'm like the most curious to revisit to see how my feelings change. Because to be fair, some of my muted feelings might have been the fact that I was sitting next to my mortal enemy Edwin, and he was really excited about it, and and part of me was cringing at that because it's like there's so many good movies that come out, and he just cares about this one because the film format it was shot on, and I'm sure like I roll, and wanting to dismiss, but it is what it is, and so I am excited to revisit it, and it is an excellent film. And deserves, even if Guy Pearce does beat Kieran Culkin, he does deserve it. I just will be very upset because of how much I liked A Real Pain. And
I still have to see that.
It's really good.
So interesting.
But what, do you disagree with me, Casey?
No. It's just
Fuck.
I think Real Pain is like the first movie in a very long time where I liked it, and I would watch it again. I'd probably watch it like 30 more times in my life, but I don't really know what I like about it, and I walked away from it kind of just
Yeah.
like a movie.
Well, we talked about this 2 episodes
really...
ago. I think it's really funny, and then it's also like there are things that one of the two characters says to another towards the end that are like literally verbatim, like things that friends have said to me. That it was like being in the audience. Like it the last time I remember this was reading when I was reading the first It. I almost said famously. Famously, I had a brother who died. And so when I was reading It for the first time, like halfway through, I get to this scene. You know, It famously opens with this character, the main character's brother, getting killed by Pennywise. And like halfway through the book, there was this scene where he was talking about his parents, like how his parents were acting because of his brother being dead. And I remember it hitting me like a lightning bolt while reading it. How much I identified. And A Real Pain was the first time since then that I had such a like profound like, oh fuck, like this is like I am this character. And yeah, but I think it is time for Connor's Wicked Games, sponsored by Chris Isaac. Every week, like Jigsaw, I like to play a little game. This year, or this time, the multi-film year gauntlet. So we last Road to the Oscars episode we talked about actors who are in more than one movie in a year. This year, why do I keep saying year? This episode we're talking about directors. In honor of Luca's 2 films, we're talking directors who make more than one movie in a year.
Oh my god, I'm gonna suck at this game.
Round 1 picks and points. So I'm gonna post this list of years. I'm gonna post this for everybody in the chat on Zoom.
Oh my god.
One of these years, a major filmmaker directed 2 movies. Y'all will take turns picking years. You'll get a set of clues indicating a shared collaborator between the 2 movies and 1 to 2 other things about the films. And then you'll have to guess the director and the 2 films, 1 point for each. We'll go around if you can't guess it, and you'll get some help if nobody's getting everything. I'll also say if you know a different filmmaker and a pair of films that came out that year and you want to name it, I will double check it and I will give you points for that as well. I'll actually give you double points because it would be impressive, honestly. I will let you, Daisygreen, you can pick first of these years that I have.
So I'm guessing a year.
So you're going to pick a year, and then I'm going to give you some clues about a director and 2 films they made that same year. And these are all like...
wait, so every single one of these years, a director made 2 films?
Yes, and I would say a pretty significant...
Okay.
Like, these aren't, you know... Like, I mean, are these all Stanley Kubrick level? No, but like these are all like
sure. Okay, now I understand. I'm gonna go 2004.
2004. The clue for 2004. Tony Leung stars in one of these and later did VO for a re-edit of the other because it was made by his pal.
Tony who?
Tony Leung, the Hong Kong star. He was the dad in Shang-Chi.
I'm 100% not going to know this.
You don't. You want to pass?
Well.
You can guess a director.
I want to say it's like in the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon universe. No, I'm gonna have to. Then I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, Casey, do you have any guesses on the director or any of these movies?
I have a guess on director. I don't know what the movies are though.
Director?
Is it Wong Kar-wai?
It is Wong Kar-wai. Any ideas about either of the 2 movies?
What's the one? 2046? Is that what that's called?
No, that's incorrect.
That's one guess.
Scott, Do you have any guesses for the movies?
I do not.
This year, 2004, he made both Chungking Express and Ashes of Time, which I haven't heard of that movie, to be fair.
Ashes of Time.
Casey, you get to pick a year next.
Oh no.
Sorry.
Can I do 1996?
No, yeah, of course. 1996. Remember Isaiah Washington? He was in both of these lesser-known films from this major New York City filmmaker.
I want to say that's Spike Lee, and I'm gonna guess one of the movies is Get on the Bus.
That is both correct.
I can't think of another one.
Scott, Daisygreen, you got an idea what that other movie that year was?
Is it
From
He Got Game?
96.
Yeah. It is not He Got Game, Scott.
Right.
Daisygreen, any guesses?
Is that too late for Do the Right Thing?
Mm-hmm. That's 89.
Way too late.
Yeah.
This was
89.
Girl 6. Like I said, two lesser-known films.
Okay. Oh, I missed that part.
Scott, you get to pick now.
I'm gonna go 93.
93. I think you knew what these were already. John Williams scored both of these very different movies from his pal.
This is Steven Spielberg, Jurassic Park, and Schindler's List.
Yes, that is
Damn.
in fact
Damn.
Steven Spielberg with Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. Daisygreen, you get to
Oh
pick.
God. I feel like I'm not going to know any of these. 99.
99. Okay. Hector Elizondo co-stars in both of these rom-coms from Penny's brother.
Okay, well, so it's Gary Marshall's the director.
Yep, correct.
Who co-stars?
Hector Elizondo.
Is it cheating to pull up a picture of him?
No. I think you can pull up a picture of Hector Elizondo, but make sure you cover up the part where it says what movies he's been in. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm gonna make my background a picture of Hector Elizondo.
No, I know exactly who he is now. Okay, 99. Is he in You've Got Mail? Is that Gary Marshall?
No.
This is where I'm gonna mess up. Is that they all overlap to me?
I'm gonna have to. Casey, do you have any guesses?
No.
Scott.
Oh, one of them's got to be Princess Diaries.
No, come on. I was gonna guess Princess Diaries and Runaway Bride.
I'm gonna give
Runaway
Scott 1
Bride.
point for Runaway Bride. The other movie is The Other Sister.
The other
The
sister.
heck is the other sister?
Oh, with Toni Collette and.
I don't know. I know Hector Elizondo.
Oh no, that's her in her shoes.
In her shoes.
I know Hector
What's the
Elizondo's in
other
it.
sister?
Casey, you get to pick a year.
Oh my goodness. I wanted to do 1970.
1970.
I'm
Bud
scared.
Cort starred in these overlapping black comedies with overlapping dialogue.
I pass. I pass completely.
Scott, Daisygreen, any guesses on this one?
Can I guess the director?
Mm-hmm.
Robert Altman?
Correct.
I do not know.
And I guess a couple of Robert Dalton films.
Casey, any guesses on?
Nashville and Shortcuts.
No, it's neither of those.
Okay, there you go. All right.
Any guesses
No
from
idea.
anyone else about the movies? This was MASH and Brewster McCloud. Both came out that year.
Gosh, I almost said Brewster McCloud.
Hey, people know MASH. MASH is a nun movie.
Are you sure Brewster McCloud came out that year? Because I am a huge Brewster McCloud fan. So like,
Scott, your pick.
2005.
2005. Christopher Lee has an on-screen role in one and a voiceover role in the other of these two films made during this director's hit and mostly miss period.
Oh, okay. Tim Burton.
Yep, correct.
And it is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Correct.
And it is the Corpse Bride.
That is all 100% correct.
Okay, but I'm going to challenge the Game Master now. That is not picked that year. I picked it because I have a different director of that mind.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to do Spielberg doing War of the Worlds and Munich.
Yes, you would think that. And now that you've mentioned it, you won't be able to use that year and that set of directors for the final part of this game.
Damn it. Well, come on. Do I at least get... But I do get double the points, right?
I'll give you double points. Yeah, I'll give you double points because you knew another one. Yes, correct.
That's what we would do. I thought that's what you said.
Yes.
If we have another one.
Yes.
So should I not do what I just did?
No. Well, you already did it. You already got the points.
No, but in general, but I'm saying in future, if that were to happen again,
if you know another one, I would hold on to it. Maybe if you know one
thank
other.
You. Okay, good to know.
Daisygreen.
Let's see 2022. If I remember any movies from 2 years ago.
Nothing came. Yeah.
Okay, this one is really easy. Mia Goth played multiple roles in these horror films.
Oh, okay. Well, I know the movies. Is that Ty West? Does he do them? Mm-hmm. So which ones came out in 2022? Pearl was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Is the other one X?
Correct. That is all 100% correct.
Heck yeah.
Casey?
Hell yeah. I haven't seen X. I liked Pearl though.
X good.
Yeah.
X good.
They're all solid. I think Pearl's my favorite of the three, but they're all. I know Casey disagrees.
Why didn't Wicked look like Pearl?
I know. Yeah. It should have. Casey?
You know?
Did we do 2013?
No, we haven't.
Heck yeah, let's go.
Jake Gyllenhaal stars in these two disparate thrillers during this director's rise.
I don't like this game anymore.
You sound like Edwin.
You can't make it play, man.
These are my Wicked games, not my Sweet Boy games.
Yeah, we should have played a Wicked game. I want to say this is Denis Villeneuve, and it's Prisoners and Enemy.
Correct, 100%.
Heck yeah,
across the
You
board.
said you don't like this game.
Scott.
Uh, 2004.
We did that.
We already did that one.
Crap.
Let's do it again. 1984.
1984.
Better watch.
Okay. Gary Goetzman produced one of these and ironically starred as swing shift band leader in the other one, which isn't a concert film.
Let's go 2006.
No, I'm sorry.
What the fuck did you just say?
Gary Goetzman produced one of these and ironically starred as swing shift band leader in the other one, which isn't a concert film.
Martin Scorsese.
That's incorrect. Daisygreen, any guesses?
Do we get any more clues?
If it goes around and nobody gets anything, I'll give you something.
Woody Allen.
Casey?
Oh.
Any guesses?
Is the director... is it Jonathan Demme?
Yes, it is, in fact.
Okay, so
Can you name either of those movies?
So
I feel like one of those movies is
one
pretty
of them,
obvious.
well, one of them is Stop Making Sense.
Correct.
And Married to the Mob.
Nope. Any guess? Anybody have any guesses on that second film where Gary Goetzman played as the swing shift band leader?
Swing shift band leader.
Like he tapped a guy on the shoulder, just like, I'm filling in.
I'm gonna call it. The name of that movie
What the
is
heck
Swing
is a swing
Shift.
shift?
Damn it! It was right there.
You know, the famous film Swing Shift.
There is a good story. Ed Harris. So they were shooting that at the
Game.
same time, and Ed Harris was in Swing Shift, and they needed to go because obviously Stop Making Sense wasn't shot over like that long of a period. Over a couple of nights essentially.
Yeah.
And Ed Harris, Jonathan Demme really needed to leave like the production lot of Swing Shift to go, and the producers were like, no, like, you're shooting this movie. And Ed Harris faked a stomach like ache or something, and then when Jonathan Demme was like, okay, well, I guess I get to go, and he was gonna leave, Ed Harris like secretly, covertly jumped in the car and was like, come on, let's go. And Ed Harris is apparently in the crowd of Stop Making Sense.
That's awesome. Hell yeah, Ed Harris.
Yeah. I'd also leave work to go see a Talking Heads concert.
Oh yeah,
Like,
maybe
my stomach
the
hurts.
best concert that's ever happened, possibly.
Yeah.
Or one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do one more round where you get to pick. So there's gonna be 3 left over. So don't leave anything on the table. Daisygreen, you get to pick one more year.
Okay, let's try 2006.
2006. Companion pieces to each other, these war dramas were produced by Spielberg.
I'm probably not going to know this.
I put that Gary Marshall one in earlier for you because I was like, Daisy Green's going to be on this one.
I knew Gary Marshall. I have such a bad sense of like when things came out.
Yeah.
I'll pass. I feel like Casey knows it.
Casey?
I'm sorry. I may not. But I'm gonna. I think it's. What's it? Joe Wright with Pride and Prejudice and Atonement.
Incorrect. Scott, any guesses?
Clint Eastwood.
With?
Plagues of Our Father and Letters from Iwo Jima.
That is correct.
Wow.
Not gonna lie to you. I thought Letters to Iwo Jima was a fake movie until like literally right now. I did not think it was real.
Scott, you get to pick.
1983.
1983. 2 sci-fi chillers shot by Mark Irwin, one based on a novel by Stephen King. It's funny, y'all are going to end up picking the 3 that aren't you're going to not picking the 3 that are the easiest.
Yay.
2 sci-fi chillers shot by Mark Irwin, one based on a novel by Stephen King, 1983.
John Carpenter?
No. Casey? Or actually, no, it's Daisygreen goes next because the order got switched.
I've got no idea.
Casey?
1983, 2 sci-fi chillers. Okay, well, what's a Stephen King movie? I pass.
Right, Scott, do you want to know the director's name and then you get to guess at one of the 2 movies? Or do you want to know one of the 2 movies and you can guess at one of the other 2 things?
Let me get the director's name.
This is David Cronenberg. Can you guess? You
Let
get
me
one.
Get the name of one of the movies. Scanners?
No, Daisygreen.
No, yeah.
You got any guesses?
I have no sense of when these things came out.
Casey?
Oh, freaking no.
All right, this was Videodrome and the Dead Zone. That's the one that was based on. And then
I like
Casey, I believe you get to pick one last one.
Okay. So we have 74, 2000, and what left?
2001, 2003.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll go 2001.
2001. Giannina Faccio.
This is not funny. This is not funny.
Giannina Faccio has small roles in both of her husband's films this year as a fingerprint tech and the wife of a soldier.
That's
Casey,
made
you
up.
jerk. Why'd you
That's
pick
made
me?
up.
A fingerprint tech? And
Who the heck
wife
is
of a
Giannini
soldier?
Faccio?
This director's wife. What do you think?
He loves her.
What? Okay.
Would we recognize her?
I don't know.
What year is this?
2001.
2001.
When did Life is Beautiful come out?
All right, we're gonna skip you. Scott, you got any guesses?
No.
Daisygreen.
No.
Casey, do you want the director's name or one of the movies' names?
Giannini Faccio.
Can I have the director's name?
This is Ridley Scott.
Today I learned Ridley Scott was
Oh my
married to someone
God.
named Giannini Faccio.
No, I did
well,
know this.
Well, yeah, you guys can have this one. I don't know, bro.
Scott.
Well,
Beautiful Mind?
Daisygreen.
No, okay.
one of them's Gladiator, isn't it?
No. But what
No,
do you think the
she
other one
plays
is?
the wife.
It's not this one though.
Oh my God.
What do you think the other one is? You not know?
Well, what's my sense of time? What else has Ridley Scott done? I really don't know his filmography.
This was Hannibal and Black Hawk Down, which came out at the same time.
Okay.
Do we want to do these
I
last
hate
3
Black Hawk
years?
Down.
He plays Ridley's casting his wife and stuff. He plays she plays Russell Crowe's wife in Gladiator.
Well, we have a wife who dies. You can cast your
You
own wife.
need your wife in
Do
there.
we want to just do these last 3 years? Just because this doesn't take that long. Just because I
Let's
have
do
them.
it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Daisygreen, all right, you get to pick one of these last 3.
Oh my gosh.
I'll say 2 of these last 3 are really easy, I think.
Which two?
I'm not going to say.
Okay, 2003.
That's one of them.
Great.
Yeah, I think I know what this is.
Monica Bellucci plays the same role in both of these sci-fi action films.
Both of these sci-fi action films. This is not my genre. Is this in the?
She plays the same role in both of these sci-fi action films.
No, I heard you.
When was the last time 2 sci-fi action films in the same
Hey, you're
franchise?
doing a lot of helping.
I am doing a lot.
No,
of
I
helping.
know you are, but I really can't. 2 sci-fi action movies with the. Is it The Matrix? No. Yes.
Is that an answer you're giving?
I guess. Yeah.
Which Matrix?
Are you
I have-
fucking kidding me?
I'm telling you, I have no
No,
concept of time.
All
The
right.
Wicked Game Master is being quite kind. is
Yeah,
what
I am.
I know he is. Okay, why don't someone else take it?
I think technically the order goes to Casey next. Sorry, Scott.
Oh heck yeah.
That's all right.
Oh heck yeah. So I know it's the Matrix. Okay, so what's that? Reloaded and Revolutions?
Yeah.
And the directors are the Wachowskis?
Yes, that's true. I would have accepted Matrix 2 and 3, to be fair.
Okay.
Oh.
I don't care.
Oh.
Those came out the
Daisy Green,
same
you just
year.
said two.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
God, I had no recollection of that.
Scott,
When did the first one come out?
She was in those.
99.
99. Yeah. Scott?
What 2 years are left?
74 and 2000.
Let's go 2000.
Oh, what the heck?
All right, this is not the other easy one.
Damn it!
Yeah, baby.
Alan Silvestri scored both of these pretty different movies from his pal.
Robert Zemeckis?
That's correct. Yes.
Castaway
Correct.
and What Lies Beneath?
Correct on all counts.
Fuck yeah!
Wow.
Oh my god.
All right, and Casey, will end with you. You just get 1974. These two films, both starring or both co-starring. I don't know. They might be one. Both co-starring John Cazale were both nominated for Best Picture and have both been added to the National Film Registry.
Oh heck yeah. So that's Francis Ford Coppola with was it The Conversation and The Godfather?
Yep, with The Convo and G2, the original G2. All right.
Oh gee, yeah. Heck yeah.
All
Heck
right.
yeah, baby.
Right now, Casey, you have 14 points. Scott, 17. Daisy-Green, you have 4.
That tracks.
We're gonna some multiple choice questions real quick to get a multiplier. We'll start with Daisy-Green on this first one. How many years has John Carpenter directed more than one feature? A, 0, B, 1, C, 2, D, 3.
C2.
Scott?
Do I have to do, like, wait, are we all answering?
Yeah. You're all answering this one.
Okay, I thought maybe she got it. Okay, so what are the...
1, 2, or 0, 1, 2, or 3?
I'll say 1.
Casey?
I'm gonna say 0.
Casey is correct on that one. John Carpenter never had overlapping movies. Scott, we'll start with you on this one.
Wow.
How many years has Stevie Spielberg directed more than one feature? 4, 5, 6, or 7?
Ooh.
The man is busy.
Yeah. I'm gonna say. Okay, how long do I get? Give me. Okay.
He's googling it. He's googling
No,
it.
He's using his Neuralink.
You said 4, 5, 6, or 7?
Yeah.
5.
Casey?
4.
Daisy-Green?
I'll go 5.
No, y'all got it right. It was 6. Motherfucker,
Dang.
6 times has made
Damn.
2 movies. And
12 movies.
Casey, how many years did Alfie Hitchcock direct more than one feature? 9, 11, 13, or 15?
9/11.
11. Dog. 9.
Daisy-Green?
13.
And Scott?
11.
Daisy-Green, that's correct on 13. So
Dang.
your points
That's
went
my
up
boy.
to 6. Casey, your points went up to 21.
Heck
Scott,
yeah.
yours stayed the same. So Casey 21, Scott 17, Daisy-Green 6. Final round, yearly double. This is like a Final Jeopardy style round. So the category is general knowledge about the topic we've literally just been doing all of these questions on, about directors who do more than one movie in a year. So first, everyone, again, just do this internally. Be the honor system. Make your wager. Again, Casey, you have 21 points. Scott 17. Daisy-Green, you got 6. And once you've made that wager, the question is,
I think we should have to say our wagers out loud.
Okay, we can say the wagers now. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you say we do the wagers. We reveal the wager in Jeopardy style. You reveal the wagers after the question.
Yes. Well, no, after the category, which you've said is general knowledge on this topic.
Yeah. Okay. So then we reveal the wagers now. I forget how
Then
Jeopardy works.
Jeopardy rules would be like American history. Then we wager.
Yeah.
And then you give us the question.
Okay. So do we reveal the wagers now then before the question?
Yes, I believe so. Before the question.
So Daisy Green, how much are you wagering?
I got to go all in. That's my only shot.
Nice.
Let's see. Scott.
10.
10, and Casey.
I'm also gonna go 10.
All right.
Right, we're betting our points.
Yeah.
I don't watch Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. How many years of servitude to Connor we will owe if you get this question wrong?
All right. And then the question is just, and if one of you has the same answer, I'll just honor system that you're not repeating from the previous person. Can you name any other director and year where that director made more than one movie?
Wait, any other director and year where that director made more than one movie?
So, for instance, earlier when Scott gave away the fact that Spielberg in 2005 did War of the Worlds and Munich,
Yes.
if he hadn't said
So
that would have been a good answer. It can't be something that we've mentioned.
But it has to be one of these directors, or no, it can be anybody?
It can be any director. Any director.
Okay.
And I'll double check. You know, I have the internet. That's how we're recording this.
Dude, you got internet? That's awesome.
All right. I have to call. I'll call on Daisy Green last. Well, Casey, we'll go with you first. I'm being favoritism because she's new.
And terrible at this game.
Wicked game master, my ass.
Casey.
I couldn't think of anybody. Can I say Luca Guadagnino and Challengers and
You did it! Woo!
I think technically, I'll give it to you because it wasn't part of the official game. Scott.
Spielberg, 2004, The Terminal, and Catch Me If You Can.
Let's see.
I'm getting the vibe Scott likes Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. I mean, I like Steven Spielberg also. TBH.
I don't know who that is.
I feel like Catch Me If You Can unfortunately came out in 2002.
No!
And so
What was it?
yeah.
I lost points. Yeah.
You lost points. Daisy Green, any
I mean, I was also going to say Luca, which I didn't think you were going to give us.
I mean, if you want to do it, you can do. Like I said, it was honor system. If you were going to say that before Casey said it.
Oh, I was going to say that because I was trying to go through the Alfred Hitchcock ones because that's probably the filmography I know the best, but I couldn't remember which two would be the same year. So yeah, the only one I'm sure about is Luca and this year.
All right, Scott. Sorry, somehow you snuck in a bronze at the very end. Daisy Green, you do get the silver.
Capture defeat in the jaws of victory. That was incredible.
Casey, you. I mean, Casey was kind of ran away with it towards the end, anyways, with some of the multiplier stuff. Casey, you got a gold medal. I do Daisy Green. I keep like medals versus appearances thing, so I can like calculate a GPA. Technically, your Jay's doing very well because when only 2 people play, I subtract an appearance. And there's only 2 people last week, and he got a gold.
Oh, wow.
So right now his GPA is 3/0, which is a non-real number.
Nice.
But yeah, that's Connor's Wicked Games, and time to real quickly.
All right, welcome to Scott's Comic Corner, brought to you by Eric Clapton and Architecture. So this week, the big crossovers of X-Men is Raid on Grey Mulkin. So X-Men is the series I've been really following this year. There have been 2 Uncanny X-Men and X-Men. This is the crossover between the 2. The Gray Malkin, if you haven't been following, is Xavier's mansion. That's been taken over. It's now a prison. On the X-Men side, Beast has been captured, and on Uncanny X-Men, Jubilee has been captured, along with a new character from this group of people called the Outliers. And they are now in Gray Malkin, and the 2 teams are going to rescue them, but they don't realize they're going at the same time, and they're going to butt heads. It's a 4-part crossover, 2 parts in X-Men, 2 parts in Uncanny. I've only read part 1. Part 2 comes out next week. The way this worked was basically we saw the lead up to them getting into the prison, and then they met the characters at the very end. I imagine that's what the Uncanny part 2 that comes out tomorrow is also going to be like. And we probably won't see them interacting with one another until part 3 of 4 of this. So I'm liking it. I'm excited that we're finally getting a little crossover with these guys, seeing the whole team together. So I've been really excited about that. And in non-comic form, but speaking of X-Men, I got myself a Mondo Cyclops here.
Yes, sir.
This is just a box, and there's different figures, but you can do different settings with the hands mostly, and he has a different head. But to get to the actual
for people listening to the audio version, this is something you really can only get on YouTube.
So come check us out. Here's Cyclops in all his glory.
Hell yeah. That looks
Mondo,
so fucking cool.
Thank you. They do good work. Sometimes it is good to randomly buy shit off of Instagram when you're drunk on Halloween. It always works out.
Well, real quick, let's do a brief Frasier time. So this most recent season of Frasier ended with a good Back to Seattle episode, a good murder mystery episode, and a good Christmas episode. And it's just one of those things where it's the biggest issue with the show is that it is a modern streaming show that can only do 10 episodes every year or so, instead of a 22 episode show that has to have 22-minute long episodes. 20 times a year that they're writing frequently and kind of grinding that comedy down. But it's a fun show if you like Frasier, I guess. But anything else? I love a good motherfucking end of genocide, Palestine, Congo, Sudan, everywhere else. I watched a couple good movies recently. I watched Edge of Tomorrow for the first time recently, which is a really good movie.
Banger.
We watched The Devil's Reign for Monday Night Movie Night recently, which is it's like the ultimate cult movie, so to speak. That's what this is a quote I'm stealing, where it's about a cult. It has a cult following. It was made under the direction, Anton LaVey advised on it, and it was where John Travolta got indoctrinated into Scientology. And it's a really trippy movie with William Shatner and Ernest Borgnine as a double. And yeah. I also watched Francis Ford Creepulous Megaflopolis, but I don't know if we're gonna. Originally, I was thinking at one point about doing an episode called Francis Ford Coppola is a pedophile enabler, featuring Megalopolis, but because of people should just Google Francis Ford Coppola Victor Salva to see the connections there, because it's fucked up. But I don't know. I don't know if it's interesting enough of a movie. It's kind of like hanging out with a guy who can't stop talking about the Roman Empire for 3 hours, and you're just shut the fuck up. Will you stop talking? But yeah.
I dug it.
Yeah.
I want to see it again, but I like it more than you. I know.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been a minute since I've seen it. Our friend Anne compared it to the prequel, the like George Lucas Star Wars prequels, and like I feel that's a much better comparison than people give it like Neil Breen. Like I don't.
I see a lot of those comparisons. I just think that they're unfair to the things that aren't Megalopolis, frankly. Because I think that the other things are almost universally better. I don't know. It's just like you have like a certain status as like this type of filmmaker, and I don't know. You're just gonna like. He's just filming himself jerking off for 2.5 hours. Like, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, Aubrey Plaza was good, so there's that.
Yeah, that's one of those ones I missed in theaters, and I don't know that I'm gonna turn it on at home.
Yeah,
that feels tough. I'm doing a Mission Impossible deep dive.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Well, that's definitely worthwhile.
So
those are all, even the worst of those are still pretty fun.
I watched. I actually think the only one I've seen prior was 3.
Oh really?
Oh wow, okay.
Banger.
And so I did 1 and 2, and I might watch 3 tonight.
One, I love 1. I love
1's a great movie.
Yeah, it's De Palma.
2 is hysterical.
Yeah, 2 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Weirdly, 3 is my least favorite. I gotta be honest. Like,
really?
Not,
wow, you're really in the minority there.
I don't. It's not that I think it's bad or anything. I just think that like. I mean, I get people who like 3 more than 2, obviously, because 2 is like I like 2 because I like broken things and things that aren't good.
And you like slow motion pigeons and fire.
Slow motion pigeons and motorcycle jousting. But I feel like for the most part the others are all I think I definitely like more than 3.
It's interesting because like I like them all, but like I think 2 and 3 are probably like the low points, and they're like every franchise should be so lucky to have a low point. But the fact that you only seen 3, like I think they like as much as I like those first 3, I don't think they like feel like what Mission Impossible has become until 4.
Yeah.
Well, I have a very strange relationship with Tom Cruise. So I think I really didn't get it at all until recently. I saw Magnolia for the first time recently, and now I'm transformed on my feelings towards Tom Cruise. So
he can be a good actor, huh?
Well, and he's a movie star. Gotta give it to him.
100%.
Oh yeah,
I love him.
Not everybody has it.
No, I'm fucking pumped seeing those clips for Mission Impossible for 8 for the Final Reckoning, where he's like in the fucking in that like biplane, like outside of it on a wire, like flipping around and stuff. I'm like, and watching that trailer, this motherfucker did that shit.
I know. That's why the action's exciting. I'm like, this famous little man could die at any point.
I think he has a clause in his contract that if he dies during one of these stunts, they have to use the footage and incorporate the death into the narrative of the film.
Wow.
So it still has to be released.
A big box office snuff film. You never see it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
No, he doesn't think he's gonna die because he thinks he's the third most powerful being in existence behind L. Ron Hubbard and David Miscavige.
Yes.
Anything else anyone else want to shout out?
Go ahead.
Oh, I just watched Sabrina Carpenter's Christmas special. It's very
how was
good.
That? Yeah.
Banger. For those, I think I'm a big Christmas special guy. Love them, and I love the resurgence of those. I think if you like Christmas specials, it's good. It's good. I think you will like it.
Okay.
It's only 50 minutes, so.
Fabulous.
I was just going to bring up a movie we were talking about before we started. Interstellar's back in theaters. Some of us are hot and cold on that, but I will say I saw it on IMAX 70 millimeter. And if you can see it that way, I would behoove you, no matter what you feel that movie, see it that way. It is worth seeing. It's like a work of art, like being projected properly. It almost doesn't matter what the movie is. So it's pretty incredible. So that's what I would recommend.
Well, next episode we have one more before Christmas. I'll be home for Christmas. Where we're going to talk about Christie, obviously. We're going to talk about Maniac Cop 2, which is Edwin's pick. Assassin 33 AD, my pick, which we mentioned earlier. That's the one about the time-traveling Muslims. And of course, it'll feature the return of the, spectacular Cinema Curse Advent Calendar, which was the game last year. Twin Peaks Club will, to reiterate from last time, will return in late January with the first 5 episodes of the return. I want to thank Brian Robert for composing our outro. Please follow us on CinemaCurse666 on Instagram and TikTok. Please smash that like button, like and subscribe, comment, share this episode with your local theater teacher. Yeah, I think that would be, they would get a real kick out of this one specifically. And again, we are audio only now. We have audio only versions that you can find that are slightly shorter than the YouTube versions on all the major platforms. And thanks everybody for joining me. And yeah, I'll see y'all soon. Bye bye.
Thanks a lot.
Can you see my hand? There we go.